Anyway, welcome to ProductTank. Okay. So I guess a lot of you already saw this slide. ProductTank is a meetup for product people, organized by product people. So all the volunteers here are like product managers or product coaches as well. And we are everywhere in the world. So we have a lot of product tanks everywhere. So for today, the plan is to give you the welcome now. Then we're going to have our talks, Q&A session. And then we need to wrap up really quickly because I'm told today that we need to leave the building by 9 o'clock. And I can hear some echo. Yeah. Okay. Is it better? Yes. Great. Okay. And it's very hot here. So anyway, so if you want to get involved with the community, if you want to talk to one of our talks, like Beks, Matt, or Leandro are going to be doing tonight, come and talk to us and let us know. Your company can host an event as well, like Trainline did today, and we are looking for sponsors. So please come and talk to us. And also you can write articles if you're interested in the product, and they're going to be published. So just get in touch and let us know. We are on LinkedIn, so I don't know if you follow us already, but you can scan the QR code and give us a follows where you can keep yourself updated with like next events and recordings of the talks as well. And yes, a bit of marketing now. So in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have Mind the Product Con on the 11th of March. We do have a discount code as well. So if you sign up, if you go through the checkout screen and you put like ProductTank London, you're going to get a discounted rate. We don't get anything back for free, so it's not that we are like getting a percentage. But yeah, scan the QR code to get your link, and then you can get the discount as well. And I think this can be expensed by your company as well. So ask your company to pay for it because it's quite pricey. Anyway, speaking of which, we're going to need your help. This is something we don't usually do. So on the 15th of May, we're going to have World Product Day. And what we're doing as product tanks around the world, we are recording some videos. We need one from London, of course. So if you look over to James, on your left, we need you to scream, but not so much. Hi from ProductTank London. I promise this is going to be the only time we're going to ask you something like that until next year. I had to drink a glass of wine to ask you this question, but yeah.
Just wave in 3, 2, 1, and then hi from ProductTank. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hi from ProductTank London. Great, done. Pen is over. Great. So as you can see, we are at Trainline. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Serena. I'm a product manager here at Trainline and one of the ProductTank organizers. And now I'm going to invite here Luke, who is going to be talking to you about our open rows, which I know everyone is interested in. Thank you.
Thank you. Cool. Hi. So as Serena said, I'm Luke. I work in the recruitment team here at Trainline. Good to see so many people in the crowd. We are hiring. We are growing in products, which is a really cool thing to be saying in this climate. A couple of roles to highlight. We're looking for designers. So just in case there are any designers in this crowd, we have 2 mid-weight vacancies. Probably the newest, kind of like sexiest vacancy, which I'm here to highlight, is that we're going to be looking for a product manager to be working on like a new project, which is all around disruptions. So making that process a little bit less stressful for our consumers. Really cross-functional, working a lot with AI, machine learning engineers. We're also looking for a few of those. So if there are any ML folk in the crowd, please say hello. You can speak to me about that vacancy, Matt, who's going to be speaking later, or Dave, who's at the very back. Say hi to Dave. Cool. But enjoy your evening. And if you want to chat, come up to me. Thanks.
Thank you. Great. I think, yes. So as you know, we have a Q&A session as well later on. Scan the QR code here and start asking questions as soon as they arrive. Even for Luke as well, if you have any question for Luke, add them there. And I think we are ready to start with our first talk, if the clicker works. And there's always a click. Sorry. Is it? It's not. Oh my God. Okay. Spoiler. I'm going to go back. Great. Okay. So today we're going to be hearing from Beks, Leandro, and Matt about AI. Of course, it's a hot topic. It's been for a few years now, but I saw the talks and they're really interesting. And I'm going to pass it over to Beks right away. Thank you.
Listen here. Up, forward, yeah. Give it a go. Hello, everybody. Hi. Nice to meet you all. Oh, I hate microphones. Is that better? I've got such a big voice, I forget that I sometimes need to be amplified. So thank you for inviting me, Serena and James. It's a pleasure to be here again. I've done a few of these in the past. As it says, I'm the founder of Female Product Lead. I'll talk a little bit more in a little bit about the communities that I founded and why. But I've been asked to talk today a little bit about AI, which I know some stuff about, but I am not an expert. So I'm just giving you my point of view for what that's worth. So, I'm gone the wrong way. Thought up was forward. That's very confusing. Down is forward. No. Is it up or down, Danny?
I think it's down, but I think it's up on it.
Sorry.
We did it. We like Fundy, y'all, but I think. And you know what's funny? I said I'm gonna use my clicker because the one that we have here doesn't work.
Is it the battery? Would it be easier if I just put my finger up every time? Is that really irritating? I mean, I can just stand and wave my hands around
I'm gonna
for half an hour.
skip for you.
You're going to
Just to let
sit?
you know.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Are there people online watching this as well? Hello. This is fun. Anyway, I'm going to go through the first few slides. So I've been in product for about 25 years and I've worked across a multiple of industries. I did about 10 years in news, in media, gaming. I then did 10 years in finance, so in banking, payments, that sort of thing, fintechs. And then the last 5 years, I've been working in tech for good. So a bit of climate tech, health tech. I'm currently consulting, about to start a new thing coming soon, but also a founder of a couple of communities. The last few roles I did in climate tech were predominantly AI value driven. So, for example, in the last role I worked in, we had some amazing technical people creating autonomous automation that enabled leaders to sit back and sort of basically set and forget in our trading. So rather than having to trade 24/7, they were using AI automation to trade for them so that they're ahead. And actually that and a few other things that I've been working on in my consulting have led me to my very firm belief around what AI has to bring and what it opens up for people outside of product, but also for us within product as well, in terms of what it unlocks. I'm going to briefly land. Are you going to click for me or try it? Down. Oh, it's working. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm not going to land on this for too long, but I was told I could introduce the communities that I founded. So the first one is called the Female Product Lead. So this is predominantly for females and underrepresented in tech, in product roles. We have a vision of equity and product leadership. We run events and in community learning and mentoring for anybody who needs a bit of extra support. If you're a female in a product role and you look up and out and don't always see yourself represented. So that's for you. And then the second community is called the Product Mind community, which is for anybody who either wants to support people who have mental health and wellbeing concerns or struggles, or if you yourself have mental health and wellbeing struggles within the product role. So that's sort of any product or product adjacent role. So look those up. If you find me on LinkedIn, they're just there on my profile. Yep, no. So the next slide was a question. So let's just do a show of hands. Apologies to people online. I was told that it was only people in the room for this one. So just let me know by putting your hand up if you don't mind. Has anyone here been either fearful that AI would threaten some of their job or threaten most of their job in terms of what it's offering and how it's operating at the moment? Or have you been reading anything online that makes it feel like some people are fearful of it? Okay. So there's some hesitant fear I'm feeling in the room, which is fine. I don't think everybody wants to sort of admit that, especially in the current climate if you're looking for jobs. But partly that's why I'm here, because one of the things I do quite a lot is, as a product leader, you want to be there having an alternative point of view. If you see a lot of people talking a lot on LinkedIn or, in terms of thought leadership in books or in frameworks that they're creating. There was Claire, and I've forgotten her surname, it's gone out of my head, who is the CPTO of Launch Darkly, did a talk, and her hot take was all about AI agents replacing product people, and product people just having to be, stepping up, stepping out, and being more willing to be a coder and a UX designer and there's a lot of talk about us being full stack and operating in product across multiple disciplines. That's not really my take on this. Mine is a little bit more about how can product enhance us as product people. Right, enough time wasting, I can get on. Hurrah! So this is a little bit of an infographic that I created, which just gives a little bit of history. This is like a potted history of product over the sort of 20 odd years that I've been operating in it myself. I know you can't read that, so if I press down, hopefully we'll have a zoom in for at least a part of that. No, it's changing there. I can see it. There's a delay. Oh, I'm just going to have to do the whole talk without slides, aren't I? I will talk without the slides. It's fine. You can have a look. You can find me on Substack and you can have a look at that infographic if you want to have a look at it. But ultimately what I'm saying is that right at the beginning of product management for me, back in the early noughties, I was working at BSkyB, which is a broadcaster, and I was working with the development team on the middleware and the software that went into the box. So software being like the electronic programming guide, how you find the programs you want to watch. And when I started, I was writing, and I'm not even kidding, 200, 300, 400 page Word documents. They were called functional requirement documents. And I'm seeing the older people in the room nodding. They remember. It was painful. And it would take months to write this thing. And then you would hand it over to the development team and you would cross your fingers and you would hope that in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, they would develop something that looked even remotely like the document you'd written. It was awful. And, I wasn't having much fun, I have to say. And then obviously the Agile Manifesto was written and Agile came across the Atlantic and we started doing Agile in software. And I would walk across campus every morning, go and meet with the developers. They often would say, what the fuck's she doing here again? She was here yesterday. But, some of them stayed the course and, began to enjoy that process. And we got through reams and reams of Post-it notes, started putting them on the wall and, the role completely changed. And it felt, looking back on it, it felt like it changed overnight. My job changed, like physically what I was doing. I was walking across campus. I was spending time talking to people. I was communicating. I was collaborating. I wasn't heads down, writing a really boring document, boring myself silly, writing on point 13.62, that type of document. So that really changed what product was, like a visceral change. And then what else? I'm just going through the infographic in my head now. The other change that I certainly witnessed was data. So back in the day, if you wanted to get some stats that you wanted to use, you would maybe go and do a customer focus group. You would sit down and talk to customers and you would get a feel of what was working, what wasn't working, which was called qualitative research. You would then take that out, go and do a survey, and you would do quantitative research. And then you would get some stats and some data, and that would be wonderful. And you would go, okay, well, we'll make a decision based on those stats, that data. And then suddenly big data arrived and data-driven decisions became a thing. I remember running around HSBC Bluefin building, running around trying to find the data people that I'd been told had arrived. Like, where are they and how do I find data? Well, here we go. I daren't press the button though. It's all going to go wrong again. So that was the bit about oh no, it's gone again. Oh, my life. They're keeping me on my toes. Oh, yeah, brilliant. I mean, it's because I said I was going to... I've been clapped for weirder things. Thank you. So yeah, this is like, the reams of documentation, and then we had data and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, the other thing as well, the lovely Martin Eriksson from Mind the Product, massive fan of him. He wrote this beautiful, simple Venn diagram, which, if you just, Googled what is product, it would come up and just tell you in a really simple way, this is product. And people got it and they understood it, and it seemed simple and it seemed something that they could get their heads around. And it was really useful at the time because so many people were asking, what the fuck is product? Why are you here? You don't do anything. You don't develop. You don't design. What is it that you do? And so this was quite helpful. We are at the intersection of all of these disciplines and we make it possible for X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. Now we're here. Now, I know you can't read that, but that's basically, think of all the people that you work with in the company. You got UX research, customer users, you've got data science, machine learning, you've got analytics, you've got finance. Our role has become more complicated. So yes, you could, if you need to, use that Venn diagram and say, it's that simple, but it's not. It's become more complicated. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that there has been a series of changes over the 20 odd years that I've been working in product and many have been working in product. There's been some evolutions. And I genuinely think that AI is just another one of those evolutions. Okay. So there was fear of tech back in the 60s. And this is crazy, right? So people were genuinely fearful that the computer circuit board or whatever that is called, I don't know. What's that? It's a chip. Don't know. Something techie. They were fearful that it was going to take their jobs. They were walking around and having conversations about it. And they were fearful that that was going to replace their job. It seems silly now, right? It seems silly and we're laughing. Maybe one day we'll look back on this period of our lives when we were fearful about AI and maybe we'll feel the same. I don't know. Maybe. Oh, I know what I was going to say about that as well. So it's a really silly story, but it's just one that I sort of land on. I'm explaining to people outside of tech who are fearful of AI, like my niece who's 18 and she's like, well, what career do I go into? What career is going to be left? What's AI going to leave for me? What stuff should I avoid? What stuff is going to be obsolete in 5 years, 10 years time? My dad worked in a computer company. I have no idea what he did. He had to do reports. The computer room was 2 floors down, took a whole room up. He had to go down 2 floors, get a report created. If it was wrong, he took it back up to his desk, he'd read it, he'd mark all the corrections, he'd take it back down 2 floors. They would generate the report again. 2 days sometimes it would take for him to generate a report. And on his desk, he had like a phone and a notepad, like the world was different. And the computer evolution it replaced that job, but who the hell wants to do that job? Who wants to spend 2 days generating a report? So my point is, again, this is about evolution. It's about enhancement. And it might be okay that AI does take some of the stuff we do that actually is a little bit boring and ridiculous that we're even doing it still. Okay, so that's the background. There's a lot of words on this. And I guess what I'm trying to focus on here is let's think about those domains that are already using AI and automation. So I already touched a little bit on traders. So traders who can use automation to set and forget, and they focus longer term on the strategy of trading. You've got people in customer call centres. So when I was at HSBC, we were thinking longer term, how are we going to use AI to reduce the amount of time that a customer needs to spend talking to us? Because nobody wants to call a call centre. So if they can self-serve and avoid that, that's all the better. And it means that the customer call centre staff are not doing over and over and over again, password reset. There were so many calls that were just about the customer forgetting their password. And so, yes, that's not necessarily AI, but what my point is, and replacing of those manual repetitive tasks. Underwriters in insurance, same thing. If you've got the same type of policy or a claim that's being repeated over and over again, you can allow for underwriters to be able to focus on the more complex tasks that require them to be more strategic or creative in their problem solving. So they're not doing the repeatable, boring same old claims and policies over and over again. So it's not about replacement, it's about enhancement. So with that human touch, adding that value, what we're saying is that you have got more time. You've got more time to make high-level decision-making. You've got more time to think about the bigger picture. You've got more time to analyse and create more in-depth insights, because obviously AI is providing the data, but those domain experts, us within product, we can then curate the insights based on that data. I'm already taking this for granted, so if it all goes wrong, I have no idea what I'm going to do, because the rest of it I don't think I can wing. So I started to think about in the details a bit more. So I'm not taking away from the other talk, which is specifically about Gen AI and ChatGPT. This is about the existing agents that are already out there, the existing tools that we can use. And I broke the ones down that I was focused on, basically a day in the life of a product manager. So on the left, you've got data collection. So data collection from the platform, data collection from the user, thinking about how you can identify patterns, how you can analyze huge pieces of data sets that, in terms of feedback, can be able to understand sentiment and feedback in a much greater scale than before. And then on the right, you've got prioritization of tasks. So, basically optimizing the team and the time they spend and making sure everyone is working on the right things in the right way at the right time, which will ultimately improve delivery timeframes and make the stakeholders happy days. So just thinking again around what does that mean? You've got more time to think about product innovation. You've got the ability to brainstorm and develop new product ideas, because you're ultimately able to use the AI to just get through that data much, much quicker, and it can accelerate the innovation process. You'll be able to think more about market expansion and growth. And this is the IC product people I'm talking about here, right? This is not just heads of, directors of, CPOs. This is actually giving IC product managers the ability to have an extension to their time horizon. So when I talk about different levels of product with my team and what that means and how that works, and if you've got complicated HR career grids, sometimes they think about this too. The time horizon of an IC product manager is going to be 1-2 sprints, a couple of sprints more, maybe a quarter. Heads of maybe a quarter or two at best. Directors of maybe a year or two, and so on and so on. So if you're allowing your IC product managers to have more time to think strategically, that whole time horizon shifts up the hierarchy as well. And it's creating more strategy, more strategic thinking, more growth thinking at a IC level. And as a product leader, and I hope those other product leaders in the room would agree with me, that is a good thing. If more people who are thinking longer term, the better. The more people thinking together and collaborating together and innovating together, that's better. And then, of course, the last point here around user experience. Matt was telling me something super interesting earlier, which is just blown my mind, but just reducing the complexity of personalized experience, like that's always like the nirvana, the end goal. Like, how do you create a user experience that is personalized? And you're going to have more time to think about that. And AI tools can allow us to analyze user behavior and feedback in a way that means that we can offer them better and better and better experiences. So that is a lot of information. I'm not going to go through it. But again, if you clicked on that QR code before, just find my Substack link, and it's all on there. And please just feel free to use it. I'm not precious about any of this stuff. I'm not going to go through it. But it just basically is going through all the different tools you could use, all the different existing tools that allow for all of these different points to be facilitated. So I'll just think of a few of them here. That you've got Hotjar and Usability Hub. Using heat maps to be able to detect underperformancing of certain sections of your website, for example. So you're not spending all that time going through Google Analytics, or spending time with your data, your product analysts going through Google Analytics. You can just quickly go through all this stuff, and you can target and see patterns and themes and analyze sentiment so much quicker. I don't know if anybody wants to pick out a particular one, or if you've got any thoughts, if anyone's using any of these already. We can talk about it later perhaps. But I mean, again, this is just my humble opinion on all of this. And these are just a couple of examples that I've thrown on a page just to give you some food for thought on how you could evolve your thinking when it comes to how your product team is stacked up. And that's what I'm talking about here. This is the way to stack up your product team, using these tools to add capability to your team. So, just in summary, it's a world of collaboration. We're not competing with AI. Hopefully, those of you who are a bit fearful will feel now that that is actually possible, that we are here to collaborate and evolve through how AI can enhance us. And domain experts will have more time to do things that matter, using their own judgment and their creativity to do things that AI can't do still. So yeah, it might be product management 2.0 or possibly we're on 5.0, who knows? I'm not counting. But it's about that value piece. It's about the impact. And it's going to give us more time for things that matter. So is there an AI opportunity for us? I think there is. Super cheesy. Unlocking the power of the human. That's what I think, anyway.
That was fun. But thank you so much, Beks, for running through with the Wi-Fi issues, which we should have been solved. And thank you so much for your patience as well. Now, next, again, QR code as a reminder, add your questions, and we are gonna go through over. I'm gonna pass over to Leandro, who's gonna talk about ChatGPT. Thank you. Everything is working now, so no worries.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Is there any secret to hold this or?
Yeah, I like this.
Okay, how does it work? Is down?
Down.
Forward?
Down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Down is forward. Okay, cool. Thank you. Hopefully everything goes okay. Hi everybody. Thanks so much for coming. Thanks for people online. Thanks ProductTank for having me here. Beks covered quite a few things on the strategic side of AI, and she mentioned a couple of uses of AI at the tactical level to then help us product people to focus more on strategic stuff. So my talk is focused on how ChatGPT can help us, product people. And it's going to be more focused at that tactical level. So we're going to bring some scenarios that hopefully we can start applying if you're not doing it. I'd like to start with a question to you. How many of you have actually used ChatGPT once? Maybe you downloaded once. Yeah, put your hands up. Thank you. Wow, that's a lot of people. Thanks so much. And then from the people that put their hands up, how many of you are actually still using it? You maybe made that part of your routine. Yeah, you use it multiple times a day. Yeah, nice, interesting. Hi, Gideon. Long time see you. Thanks so much. So I don't know, when I started using ChatGPT last year, I basically had some challenges myself as a product person. And the first one is to understand how to use it. And of course, you can talk to ChatGPT, you can upload images to ChatGPT, you can describe stuff as using natural language. So what's this how about? Basically for me, it was how can I put something in the prompt and get something closer to what I expect in the output. So that was a challenge for me, and I'd like to bring up some examples of how I managed to overcome that. Hopefully it'll be useful for you. And also the what. That was like a hype when I started using ChatGPT, and everybody, you can, start asking about world, life, and, if God exists and things like that. But after that, what is actually meaningful? What can we do? And Beks covered a couple of things that, again, I'm going to bring some scenarios and examples to that. So my goal today is to share these learnings. I'm not from Microsoft, I'm not from OpenAI, so I don't have any kind of a commercial interest of all of you, the people that haven't put their hands up, or the people that are not really using ChatGPT a lot today to actually start using it. But I do believe it can help, like Beks said, a lot in saving some of our time to focus on the important things. So I'm going to share some of these learnings, and hopefully you can foment your curiosity, the people that haven't tried ChatGPT to try it, and the people that actually could have managed to make this a little bit more part of your work, part of your life, that haven't put the hands up on the second part of my question, maybe can try again. So hopefully some of the examples, the scenarios can inspire you to, if you haven't tried, to then try again, right? So talked about the challenge. Let's focus on the first challenge, on the how. Like I said, after this hype of using ChatGPT for me, just for context, I'm product lead at Nando's, but I'm also a trainer, a Scrum trainer, Agile trainer. So some of the examples will be like a mix of these two contexts. So the first thing I tried to do with ChatGPT was to basically ask it to create an email, a feedback email. That was a very basic example for me, but it was very useful because it was something that I was doing as a teacher. I was teaching class. I wanted to get feedback about my class. And what I did, I basically input this prompt. Can you please write an email to my students asking feedback about my class? I don't know if you note from the my accent, but I'm Brazilian. I'm not British. So, but I've been living here for 8 years now. So I start saying please to the machine now. So, yeah, my bad. I mean, if they dominate the world, hopefully they take that into consideration, and they may don't do anything bad with me. But that was it. That was basically what I told ChatGPT. And that is basically the output that it has given me. And I appreciate you can't read, it's blurred, but you can see it's quite lengthy email. It has a lot of questions on the feedback. It's quite lengthy on the text too. It's a quite formal language. So it wasn't really what I was expecting, but I appreciate my input wasn't really great as well. So I figured if I was, trying again, make some amendments, get a better output, then, get back to my input, review it, like some backs and forwards, exactly, yeah. Then I would get to a better outcome, a better output. So I figured that if I spent more time refining my input, I would, that would lead me to output. But how much is too much? Because, you can't really take forever, refine something on the input to get something out of GPT, especially in this case, like in an email, because I rather than sit down and write the email myself, right? It would be easier. So I question myself, okay, maybe someone came up with, a few examples or templates on potential prompts that I could use for this example. Then what I did, I Googled it, and a couple of things came up as potential examples and templates, and they don't look easy. I mean, I just wanted ChatGPT to write an email for me, right? So it's a kind of very basic stuff. So I basically kind of ignored that. I appreciate some of these examples. They should be useful and applied, really good to specific scenarios. But to my case, it was quite a lot of effort to learn these things just for the sake of an email. So I couldn't find anything easy. I don't want to take the credit on the thing I'm about to present that I did it, but I kind of did it. But maybe I didn't do a good research on trying to find if this existed before. But I came up with this template that has only these 3 questions. And please, if people here, someone works for OpenAI, Microsoft, and you understand like why this works, please just come and talk to me. But I started using these kind of 3 parameters when I'm creating my prompts since last year, and to pretty much everything I ask ChatGPT, and it's been quite good. So essentially, the context is you telling ChatGPT this basically the situation. If they're going to impersonate like a senior product owner, a product leader, whatever that is, what's the goal, what you wanted to achieve as that person, what the task you ask it to do, and I think the most important for me is the format. So what is your expected output from ChatGPT? So applying this to the email, I'm telling, okay, you're a Scrum trainer, you finished creating a course, an online course. Your goal is basically to figure from the feedback how to improve the course. Then the task, you're telling ChatGPT, okay, please create an email asking for feedback. I want it to be succinct, 4 paragraphs, 3 questions, and I want it to be in English and Brazilian Portuguese. And I want it to be informal, because, I know they're students. Basically, this is the output. Again, appreciate you can't really read it. The last part is in Portuguese, but you can see it's a little shorter. All the 3 questions are within the 1 paragraph, and it's nicer. It's a lot kind of a more informal than the previous version. So it's a lot closer to what I expected, right? It might not be perfect still, but again, it's a lot closer to what I expected. And that was a big learn for me. And I don't know if you had this kind of same challenge with the how to use ChatGPT. If you do, and maybe you stopped trying or stopped using because of that, please feel free to use this template. And also, all the other scenarios I'm about to present, I'm basically using the same kind of three questions for the input from the prompt. Okay, so that was the how. Then the what. Again, I tried to figure on the product. I tried a couple of things. I think as a trainer, there are quite a lot of things that I've been using ChatGPT for, but I haven't brought here today because I imagine as product people, the likelihood of you working on the industry was higher than potentially be a trainer or a teacher. But I've been using to create like articles, to basically create exercise, surveys and things like that. Like it helps a lot on that front. But as a product, three things that I've used, and it was quite useful for me, was to find out more about users, customers, do like competitor analysis, and also how to create backlog items, product backlog items. I'm about to present the prompt that I've used for a few scenarios. Because of time, you're not going to have time to read them all, and also ChatGPT basically executing that prompt. But this presentation, of course, is online on YouTube, so please, if you're interested to see more about the details or what GPT basically said as an answer, as an output, please feel free to go to YouTube and just pause it, or just reach out on LinkedIn. I can share the presentation with you. Okay, the first one for user personas. So what I told ChatGPT in this context, this is just like a hypothetical scenario. It's not a real one. I don't own an online shoe store. I wish I would, but I don't. But imagine ChatGPT, a product owner on a Brazilian online shoe store that is basically trying to understand a little bit more about their customer, what they need, what motivates them, the challenge they have. And you're asking ChatGPT to basically figure the three customer segments, and you're telling ChatGPT what the segments are. In this case, oh, sorry, it was quicker. It's not playing the video. Okay, you're supposed to be playing the video. You're probably not going to be able to see the answer, but it's okay. Again, you can reach out. I'll share that. But basically, it's asking it to give an output of geographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavior types. And again, you have to believe me, ChatGPT gave those answers. Again, not perfect, but it did give the answer. The second part was I just amended the task and the format, and I kept the context. And this is another thing, a nice thing about this template is that if you're using ChatGPT within the same window, within the same section, and you don't change the context, of course, it considers that you are within the same context. So you can basically keep going further and further, asking more questions or ask it to do more tasks. Then basically, in this case, you don't need to tell it again about the context, just what you want it to do. So in this case, I'm going there for even further and asking for ChatGPT to create 3 user personas. And in this case, I'm saying, okay, I wanted you to define a photo, name, some personal information, goals and pains, which again, unfortunately, is not going to play. I don't think it's going to play. Yeah, it's not going to play. Sorry. But it gave the user persona, but for the photo, it basically told the description about the person. So what I did, I got even further, say, okay, please create a realistic photo of that persona. I don't want it to be a cartoon, and basically gave the answer, which again is not going to play. So it's probably not fun. You're going to have to believe me, which is, you just met me today, probably don't trust me yet. But anyway, the second scenario is for competitor analysis. In this case, the scenario is you are a product owner, an European consulting company that is basically trying to launch like a product manager course. So you wanted to figure what's the top 5 courses. And then you're saying you wanted to know the company names, brands, the course structure, outline, price, and things like that. And again, it's not going to execute. In this case, to be honest, the answer wasn't really, really great. Oh yeah, I can't play the 5 for some reason, but it's okay. Oh yes, exactly. Yeah, we can put the link there, definitely. Yeah. But to be honest, the result here wasn't really great because a product manager course is very generic. But I used this to do some research on Brazilian markets, on potential competitors that were teaching the same or similar courses than me, and basically I learned quite a few things, quite a few companies that were having some courses similar to mine that I didn't hear about it before. Didn't hear about it before. So yeah, if you narrow your context and go when you ask the task, then yes, it's gonna work. Of course, if your context is you work for something like greedy secret, industrial secret, or something like that, and you want to do some research about it, probably it's not gonna help. Also, I remember in Nando's 2.5 years ago, we were looking for a SaaS rota tool, and we basically had to do a manual search across the market and to come up with like 30 different providers, get down to 10, then 5, then 3. I can imagine ChatGPT would definitely be helpful to basically help us organize those competitors and trying to find out potentially something that we missed from that list. And the fourth and the icing on the cake is basically for product backlog items. So you probably know about Jeff's pattern user story map. I love using this with stakeholders, with the team. So imagine you have like an online order like this one. It's not Nando's, right? It's not Nando's. It might be inspired by Nando's, but it's definitely not Nando's. So you could ask ChatGPT to then, again, context, and then ask it to create a homepage, menu card, confirm order, kind of user story requirements. And I told the personas or the roles are basically students. And again, you can't see that, but it created user stories. It gives some acceptance criteria for those items, and then going even further, you can ask about, okay, can you basically enhance and add some non-functional requirements, some risks? Again, it gives that answer. And those things are interesting because I don't know you, but I'm much better at reviewing something than writing something from scratch. So if I had to sit down in a day and write like five stories, 6 user stories, I mean, I don't have a business analyst, so I have to do those things myself. I would rather have the machine to do it for me. Then I go and review it, then spend the time doing it from scratch. And with non-functional requirements and risks, it's again something that you can use at story level, you can use at a feature or at the epic level, and it can help potentially if you miss something as a risk, potential dependencies and things like that. It can definitely help with the conversations and refinement with your team. The fourth thing, for acceptance criteria, you can basically be more specific and ask it to do a BDD format, which again, it was quite good, but I think there were some gaps on the scenarios, so I don't think they covered all the happy parts and sad parts and all the alternative parts. But again, as a start, you can basically enhance and refine later on. And the last one, actually, I started asking to create, tile number 1, 2, and 3, but you can ask it, can you read this user story map and create everything? So I don't need even to ask individual tiles. And you upload the image, and it does that for me. Again, you can't see it, but it does write down everything. In this case, it missed because I said, do the items above the release one line. I think it got confused with the line, and then the payment tile, it got basically for some reason is excluded. But again, I think it was quite good. So a few takeaways. I do think it can accelerate some manual process. I think Beks covered this bit. So if you can find something in your context, in your world that you can apply, I can see a lot of people put their hands up that already is part of your daily job to use some tools like ChatGPT. That's amazing. We do know it does make mistakes, right? So if you have to rely on the information, please do verify the information. I think on the user personas or customers, things that you don't know about. So if you don't know the domain, it could be interesting. It could give you an insight, but it's a bit risky if you just blindly trust on what it says because it might be wrong. I think policy is still a concern. There are a lot of things that I think big organizations don't do in some of these tools today because trust. And the last bit, I think the final decision should still be yours. So I think these tools, they are helping for you to achieve a goal, but they're not the end goal. So whatever tool you use, ChatGPT was an example, but I think we still should be accountable for, the final decision, what you're going to do with that decision, with that information. Okay? That's pretty much me. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I'm definitely going to be using that. And yes, by the way, you couldn't maybe like see the videos there, but they're going to be on the live stream that you can rewatch later as well. So again, Slido is a reminder for like our questions later on. Now, last but not least, we got our very own Matt.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Matt. I'm Machine Learning Engineering Manager at Trainline. Thank you very much for letting an engineer speak at a product event. So I don't know if this is a headline or the graveyard shift. We'll see. So I'm going to talk to you today about AI, and particularly AI agents, and the impact that I think is going to have on product development, essentially. Also, I'm going to cover a bit about AI history. I'm going to tell you about how LLMs work, and then I'm going to go through all the use cases. So it's quite an ambitious thing to do in 15 minutes, but let's see how we go. First thing though, questions, and you're going to have to shout out because we've got no microphone. How do you think AI will change the way we build products? Let's go around the room. Anyone? User stories. Better user stories. Anyone else? Prototype quicker. Better hypotheses. Interesting. More holistic products. Okay, great. Yeah, some really good ideas. Okay, one thing for sure though is AI is really hyped at the moment. So we've discussed kind of Beks covered it a little bit. Will AI robots steal your job? Is ChatGPT actually going to change the world? Is it changing the world? Is OpenAI going to take over the world? All of that kind of stuff. But let's start and let's go back to Earth for a sec and think about what is AI. So on the left, here there's a Turing machine, which for some of you might not know, was the first mathematical model of a computer. And on the right is what we call a transformer. And this is basically what ChatGPT is. So how do we get from here to here in the space of like less than 100 years? Where it all started, we have to go back to 1840 actually. And this woman here, Ada Lovelace, she's widely considered as the first computer programmer actually. And this guy here, Charles Babbage, he worked with her on this thing called the analytical engine, which was basically this giant calculator. And she wrote computer programs for it. But she wasn't very impressed with it because she wanted more hardware. The analytical engine, she said, had no pretensions to originate anything whatsoever. However, she was extremely influential. And this guy, you may have heard of him, Alan Turing, came along, 100 years later, developed the first mathematical model of a computer, the Turing machine, and actually defined what AI was, which was essentially, if a human can speak to it, a machine, and not know it's a machine and think it's human, that's what he defined AI as. And we're still not there. With ChatGPT, I still think we're not there. 1940s to 1970s, neural network was developed, lots of different models was developed. 1980s, not much happened. AI winter, literally called the AI winter. In the AI communities, we worry about another winter coming. It's very dramatic. 1990s, convolutional neural networks. Computers learned how to see and actually recognize what they could see. This guy, head of AI for Facebook, invented it basically. And any kind of self-driving car, any phone uses these convolutional neural networks they invented in 1993. 2017, start to embed in products. If today, if you've access to a computer, if you've maybe booked a train through Trainline, you've probably used like 20, 30, maybe even hundreds of different machine learning models. This started surprisingly early from like 2005 maybe. And by now it's pervasive. 2017, this is where the breakthrough happened. These things called transformers were invented. Now, I'm not going to go into any kind of boring details about how it works, but what I will say is the key thing you need to know about it is it can scale. And what that means is you chuck more data at it, you chuck more computer at it, and it gets better and better and better. And this is what's changed the world in the last few years. It's this simple fact that this architecture works. So, quick question. Who knows how LLMs work? Anyone? But 6 people. That's good. I'll tell you that. So basically, it's quite easy. It's just the next word predictor. So it essentially goes, it was the best of times. It was worst of times, or age, essentially. But it's a probabilistic word predictor. So it's kind of interesting because it's like, well, for years I've had predictive text. So why is this any different? Well, the thing is, if you make these things big enough, it has this idea called emergent capabilities, which means it can do things that actually it wasn't trained how to do. And this is kind of scary and also quite amazing. And I can say, as an AI engineer, we don't fully understand these emergent capabilities. We don't fully understand why this works, even the engineers at OpenAI. So the idea is it can do things like reasoning. And this is what's really, really powerful. And this is what's going to change the world, because it means you can build these things called agents. And bear with me, this might sound quite boring, but you have this LLM and you have these different tools, you have databases, and you have memory. And basically out of this, you can build kind of autonomous decision makers. So question then, have you heard of AI agents before? How many people have heard of them? Cool. So let me take you through my understanding of them then. So let's take an example of a fashion assistant. So let's say I want to build a fashion assistant. Think about what this might need to do. So have an LLM that does the reasoning, that responds to the user. But what else might you need? So the LLM's not going to know what the weather's like. It's not going to be able to tell you what season it is. So we need to put in a tool. We need to give it access to a weather tool or a calendar to know what time of year it is. It needs to access some kind of fashion database, so it actually knows something about fashion. It needs to access a search engine so it can look what's actually available. It needs maybe a color palette matcher, and this color palette matcher will, tell it whether it's like making colors clash or whatever, right? So the point is that the LLM doesn't work alone. It works with other tools, and this kind of architecture has only really become possible in the last 2 years. So, as Beks said, is it going to take our jobs and destroy our world? I think almost definitely not, because a lot of engineering goes into building these things, and it's not that simple where it can just learn the stuff by itself. Can it change the way we think about digital products? I think emphatically and absolutely, and I would say that probably it's not hyped enough in this thing. It's going to really, really be a seismic shift. So let's go into how. And again, it's just my opinion. I might be completely wrong. But I think the foundational thing is improving customer support. So it's a really quick kind of win. We're already seeing that happening. I'll go a bit more into detail into these in a second. Second thing is conversational products. As humans, or personally, I prefer to talk to people. I prefer to type. I don't like clicking buttons. It kind of annoys me. So actually, I prefer a conversational product, and I think many people do, and there's many use cases that are really appropriate for that. The final thing, and this is a bit more speculative, is fully AI-driven UX or UI. I think it's going to flip. Currently, we build UIs and we go, how can we make this intelligent? What intelligence do we need? Machine learning team, go and build me a model that does this exact thing. I think it's going to flip, and I think it's going to be, what does the AI say we should potentially show to a user? So let's start with customer support. So hands up, I'm going to do an impromptu survey. Who thinks customer support has got worse since the pandemic? Strangely not majority. I think it's generally got worse. You hear when you phone up these lines, they're always inundated with calls, So generally, it seems to have got worse when you survey, particularly in the US and UK. Forbes cites staffing shortages, supply chain, host of other challenges. So how can you make it better? Well, you can take an AI agent, you can give it access to tools, you can give it access to refund tools, you can give it access to take action on behalf of the user. These simple kind of questions we spoke about, like changing my password, or maybe slightly more complex than that, you could just pass through to the agent and the AI agent can take care of that. Then the more challenging cases goes through to the customer service team. So therefore you upskill the customer service team, they become more focused on these very difficult tasks, and the AI assistant just kind of deals with these repetitive tasks. Great. I'm going to skip that question because of time. So companies have seen great results for this, famously Klarna. Don't know if there's anyone from Klarna here. They've built an AI assistant and actually it's saved them millions apparently. It's also improved their customer satisfaction ratings. Air India has done the same. Even BT is working with AI assistants. Interesting. Great. Customer support. What about these conversational interfaces? So has anyone heard of JumpSpeak? Actually, yeah, so a few people. So essentially this is a language learning tool, and it seems like really low hanging fruit actually, because Duolingo is great. I definitely use Duolingo, but actually, you know, you want a conversational product. You want a kind of flowing product to help you learn a language. And it's exactly what it does. So you can listen, you can write, you can speak. And this is all driven dynamically. You know, it presents you with components, challenges based on the user's direction, but also the app helping to kind of coach. So it's a kind of combination between this free text, but also kind of guided free text. So I think that's really, really interesting. And coming back to Klarna for a second, they're starting to take the same idea and kind of integrate it into what they're calling the shopping assistant. So essentially this is a conversational interface, but it also presents you with products. It shows you pictures of products. It shows you prices, right? So you can think of this much less as a traditional kind of chatbot and much more like an interactive user interface. So another question, what product opportunities based on what I've just said do you think AI agents could potentially unlock? Anyone? Or more personal? Yeah.
Actually, I've heard like someone's take. I can't call like whose take was it that soon enough we're not gonna have like a general like ChatGPT for everything, but we're gonna have like more like dedicated agents, or like kind of like cater to each like job. So we might have like a dedicated AI agent for doctors, a dedicated like AI agent for developers, etc. Like as opposed to one like tool that everyone uses.
Yeah, so that's definitely how it's going. And you actually lead into my final slide very well. So you can build these kind of products, and you probably can't see this very well, so I'll just talk through it. So the like agent that I spoke through earlier, you could imagine a product with like a search agent, a specialist in search. You could imagine an agent that is specialist in searching social media, maybe an agent, a specialist in managing your diary. And then this all comes together in a kind of supervisor, like a kind of manager that manages all these other agents. And this isn't tomorrow. Like lots of companies are building these systems right now, and they've been demonstrated to work. Take that one step further. A UI agent, an agent that manages what the user sees on their screen. So a component is just something that's generated by the UI. Currently, we do that in a kind of very programmatic way. What happens if we gave an agent all of the tools it needed actually to build an interface for the user in real time, dynamically? And so currently UI is very, very static. It's the same for every user. What about if AI agents could unlock the possibility completely making a dynamic UI? Of being able to adapt your product or your app depending on the individual user in real time and adjust to a user's needs. So that's where I think it's going. What do you think? And that's it. Yeah, exactly. That will be part of the problem. But this isn't today. This is tomorrow. Anyway, thank you very much. Hopefully that was useful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Right, we are gonna have our Q&A session now. So go Alex and Kanal helping with the chairs. Slido. So got another chance to add your questions. And I would like to invite over. Yes, we're gonna sit on those ones.
Why isn't you two? Oh, it's another.
Yeah, we got more coming.
I'm a bit short for these things.
Oh no, it's okay. Yes, thanks. If you're gonna don't want to say that, you should. No, it's okay. We can sit next to each other right here. So I'm gonna pass the microphone. Oh, sorry, completely. So there, this is a channel, yeah. Close, okay. Great. All right. Lots of you. So don't forget to vote for your favorite questions as well as soon as you add them. And let's give it a start. So I got this question. Is one of the most voted ones. So what's your opinion on Martin Kagan's post about the future of product management shifting to product strategy over execution due to AI enhancing productivity? Don't know who wants to start. Do you want to go? Yeah.
Did everyone hear the question? So Marty Kagan has also come out and said that he thinks that product management's going to shift towards more strategic thinking than execution. But I think that's what I just said. So I definitely agree that that's going to happen. I think it's stating the bleeding obvious, which is exactly what I was doing earlier as well, that we are going to be thinking more longer term from an IC level all the way up to the top.
Yeah, they're right. So yeah.
I 100% agree. So I don't have much more to add.
Yeah.
Cool. Next one. I think this is for you, but I don't know if we can answer this one. Which LLM train line selected for the product team? Why and which metrics do you guys see improving after the adoption?
So I didn't give a metric part. Okay. So the first part is generally companies don't just use one LLM. Each LLM is specialized to different purposes. So to give you an example, if you have a very simple task that you need to do very quickly, you'd probably use like Llama, 8 billion parameters. For like something conversational, you use like maybe Claude, or you could use GPT. So the answer is we use lots of different LLMs, and it's the same with the metrics. So we're using already LLMs within the Trainline app. One thing I can talk about is real-time translation. So with real-time translation, what we're actually looking at is really engagement with the translation, because actually disruption messages are currently only in the language of the country you're in. And this is really problematic if you're, let's say, from Italy and you don't necessarily speak good English, and actually the disruption messages is talking about like, you know, a certain delay or something, and then you miss a kind of key point, and then as a result you change your plans because you've kind of misread this message. So in that case, we want your users to engage with it, and we're also looking at other ways to measure it, but it's actually quite difficult to measure whether a user has read it correctly or not. But engagement is enough for us there. In other ways, I mean, ultimately we're looking at conversion, we're looking at people buying more tickets, and we're looking at retention. I think retention is one of our really, really big focuses this year. We want people to have great experiences using the Trainline app, and we want it to be your kind of travel companion throughout the life cycle of your journey.
Thank you. Next question. What's your perspective on balancing AI to enhance your job, but without negatively impacting the environment? It's definitely valuable, but uses lots of water. Do you want?
Sorry, what's the final print? So maybe
Yeah.
it uses lots of water. It uses. You can go first.
Yeah. So a lot of data centers are actually being built now purposely, like literally Meta, I think, are planning to build small nuclear reactors next to their data centers. So there is definitely thinking in the industry about how you can offset the energy that is used. It's definitely a consideration for us at Trainline in terms of building the products. Day to day, I think it's a challenging one. It's always challenging for me, at least, to marry my individual decisions with what's happening on a kind of bigger scale. I would just say, be cognizant of it and, try to use them sensibly.
Sorry, got the question. Sorry. Yeah, I think if you see like DeepSeek recently, I think they're achieving really amazing results without potentially needing all the computing that other AIs are using it. And I think some of the limitations, without going to politics, but some of the limitations that I think were put in China in terms of the latest version of some of the technologies they were getting, I think made them to try something different approach that is, still, of course, there is still the concern, the problem. But it's, it requires less and less computing. So I think because they're doing that there and they're getting good results, I think it's basically open up the eyes of the world to, basically try to get better at that as well.
Hi, Beks. Thanks for the great presentation. If you had to reduce your team's workload by 50% to focus on efficiency, what would you and would you not use AI for? And I think we can open up to everyone.
I think so too. Gosh, 50%.
50.
Yeah, I think it was a half and half type of question. Gosh, I mean, I think I tried to cover it in my presentation. So the details that I didn't really go through on that, the day in the life with all the things around understanding the data from the platform and the data from the customer. I think that's one of the biggest wins, because now we are very much around data-driving decisions more than we ever were before. We want to make sure that we're getting through that data as quickly as possible, as holistically as possible, without missing anything. And I think using AI agents to analyze your platform data and your customer data, be able to identify sentiment really, really quickly and understand the themes that are coming out of customer feedback, massive data sets. I think that's the biggest win in a B2C environment. I think it's more complex in a B2B environment in terms of how that would work. So I don't have as an easy answer there for you. And I haven't actually spent a huge amount of time thinking about it. But certainly in a B2C environment, I think that's the biggest win.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. I think the only concern with data today, might be a question for you in terms of using all these AIs in the companies, is especially when you put your data into them, like they won't know about it, what they're gonna do with that in the privacy side of things. But definitely big data lakes, getting data and what to do with that to basically make the data transform into information that is useful is definitely the way. Yeah.
Thank you. How do you build AI-powered products that do not get outdated with AI advancements?
The easy questions. So we've been building machine learning products like collectively as machine learning engineers for 15, 20 years. And there's been advancements every single year. So what I will say, I'm going to go off piece slightly. As machine learning and AI engineers, we're always looking ahead and we're always looking for what's coming next. And machine learning engineering is very slightly different from standard product engineering, that we have to think long term. Large language models are here to stay though. And I genuinely don't think they're going to become outdated, as a concept in the next 5 to 10 years. Maybe I'm wrong. But I just don't think they will. And, the way to prevent it becoming outdated is build products that's agnostic of the intelligence that powers it, right? You build kind of orchestration around the LLM, so it does kind of what you want, but then you can switch out the LLM very easily as better LLMs come along. Do you want to give?
Yeah, I don't have an opinion on the tech, but I do certainly have one from a just what's appropriate and what's right point of view, because I think there isn't a lot of regulation in this space at the moment, and there's lots of discussion that's happening around, is it actually appropriate and correct for AI to be advising people of how to use their finances, or how to, what health options they should be looking at. And I think that for me is the thing that I'm going to be tracking the most anyway, just in terms of my own interest. And I certainly would probably choose to avoid working for an organisation that was possibly going down a route that could potentially end up being obliterated through regulation and control in the near term.
Hi, Leandro. Thanks for the insightful talk.
Very polite questions.
Yeah. What's something that ChatGPT can do at the moment in product management that you wish you could, and why?
It doesn't do today that I wish
Yes.
it could. Doesn't do it.
What's your ChatGPT dream?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it does a lot of things on the data, for example, that I think, like, for example, I work for Nando's, and we're trying to use AI within our existing products, what they are offering, and basically expanding to that area. For example, don't officially use ChatGPT with data yet. I think the capabilities might be there, but potentially having them enabled to us with the whole kind of privacy policy thing, I think to me is something that we're moving towards. Once it's enabled, it will help there. I don't think. I mean, I love what we do and in our job, and I think the things I basically brought up today, they are repetitive tasks that is already doing. So yeah, good question. I don't know. Do you have anything?
With ChatGPT could schedule falling directly with my customers. So I'm what you B2B. So that's why I would like to have like checking and sending emails to our customer and getting it back in that bit.
I've got one that's slightly controversial. I want it to try less hard to keep me happy. These models are designed to be incredibly helpful. And actually, I can tell you, working with these things, that can sometimes get in the way, particularly when you want it to challenge you, right? You say, like, can you scrutinize this talk I'm doing? And then it kind of goes, this talk is great. And even if you don't know it's great. So I think what I want them to train it to be more challenging.
We were having this conversation today.
Yeah. They told me this talk was Mel's. He's more. Yeah.
It was good. Will hypersonalization damage the server of shared culture? In the extreme, each person we see. Will hypersonalization damage the server of shared culture? In the extreme, each person we see whatever is made just for them. It's going to be so personalized that we're going to have issues with our shared culture, basically.
Yeah. So, interesting one. This has been a problem that we've been solving for many, many years with actually just standard personalization. Any shopping website you go onto will have a ranking algorithm, and that will likely be personalized to you. How do you stop that? If you see a product at the top, you're more likely to click it, and therefore it's more likely to be shown to you again. So we actually have approaches to do this already, which is basically we sprinkle some random things into it and then see if you click them. And if you click them, because we know it's random, that, you know, we know that you're likely really enjoy this type of thing, and it changes your ranking. So it'll work in exactly the same way. Basically, you add some random stuff in there, and, you know, if a user clicks it, then you know they like it.
You want to start anything?
I do now understand why I see lots of videos of people spotting blackheads. So I accidentally clicked on it once, I promise. I get them all the time.
Why would a company keep 10 product managers if their current workload can be done by 5 AI-enhanced product managers? This is just not cost-effective. I don't know what your thought.
So I think I should answer that because I'm the one who suggested that was a good idea. I think it's tricky because obviously when I'm thinking back to the customer call center example that I used with HSBC, so I was really worried because I'm a nice person that I was creating a reason for the call center managers to reduce the call staff down because we were literally reducing the number of calls they were taking to answer, you know, the simple password question, for example. And there were various other things we did as well. And so I asked the question, is the outcome of this, is the objective to ultimately reduce the number of staff in the call centre? And the answer was categorically no. The idea was that their ratios were going to change. So instead of it being a 1-to-1, so one customer call centre to one customer, they wanted to increase their ratio so that they could have 4-to-1 and 10-to-1. So they were moving customer agents over doing the chat, so the messaging. So more people were able to do the messaging questions, and they were increasing the number of people that they could talk to and handle at the same time. And so call waiting went down. And so for me, I think it's the same in product. Like, we're going to be doing something different. And I think if you work for a company that are looking to always cut costs, I can't answer to that, because that's a different question. That's a different answer. It's a different outcome. But if you're working for a company that's looking to be more strategic and to win competitively and to differentiate in the market, why would they get rid of the people who can help them differentiate?
Yeah, and I think to add to that, there are a lot of thinking, mindset, and transformation that we do in our jobs that I think they may get there at a certain point, but they start helping on the tactical level. That was pretty much what you said on your talk. Then it's gonna leave us to still be doing that, and we're gonna be more specialized on other bits to support that. So I think we will adapt essentially, and there might be some reduction, but I think overall, yeah, there's always still need this kind of a human touch, human element, because of the organizations, all the decision making people, they are people. So yeah.
Good point.
We have a little question, but this is the last one because it was asked a few times anyway. So if you're using AI for product things like identify customers and their problems, how do you ensure that the results that AI is going to give you are correct and you can stay accountable? So we're going to be using AI to tell us, review the data and so on. So how can we ensure that what we get back is right and we can actually use it?
I mean, my answer is you don't. If you don't know the domain, you pretty much don't know. I think that's why important I think everything that was presented today for you, if you try then to go and confirm, hopefully helps you with the insight. But I think if you want to be sure, you have to go interview, ask people, read the book, but that's my opinion.
I don't think it's a problem unique to AI. I think if you go on any social media, particularly now, you need to use critical thinking and think for yourself to understand if the information you're getting is likely to stand up to scrutiny. So I don't really think anything changes there. What I will say is I do think like there is a balance between obviously safety and kind of creativity, and I think for products like ChatGPT, they're always trying to find that right balance. So I don't know. I have no opinion as to where it's at the moment, but I'm sure everyone does.
I haven't got much to add other than the human element on top of AI is about creativity and judgment. So if you're using AI to shortcut and get to an endpoint quicker, so I think you made this point earlier around, it's much easier to ask ChatGPT to take you from a blank page to 20% there, 30% there, maybe even 40% there, but you're never going to get to 100% without domain knowledge, understanding, judgment, and creativity. And if you can shortcut that and get there quicker and spend less time on the drudge at the beginning, then that's a good thing because you'll get to the end goal quicker. So
perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you for keeping up with us with the tech issues. Thank you, Beks, for running through that. And I think we still have a few drinks left. I don't know what about the pizzas, but we got some time to stay here and network and get to know each other. And thank you, everyone.